what's going on, everybody, and welcome back to the Literally Nothing But Everything podcast with your host, the one and only Mike Rispoli. And I know I mentioned this at the end of last week, but since I'm recording this on Sunday, which also happens to be Mother's Day, happy Mother's Day to all you mothers out there. And I don't know what your situation is, but hopefully if your mother's still in the picture, you went out and did something to celebrate her. Please tell me that you at least went out and got her some fucking flowers. I would actually love to know what a bigger day for florists are, if it's Mother's Day or Valentine's Day. Like, if you're a son, husband, boyfriend, or whatever, I mean, it's not like you couldn't just run out any day during any week to give your mom or significant other flowers just to show some sort of appreciation. It's not like it always has to be because you fucked up and you're trying to apologize. And then if you only start doing it for that reason, then it's just like, oh, now you only got me flowers just because you're sorry about something. Oh, that actually reminds me. My dad was telling me this story once. I don't know how long ago this was. I think it was maybe over the summer. He was at Costco, and at Costco, they have a great deal on flowers. You can get 2 dozen roses for like $15, which is crazy considering at any other fucking supermarket, you get like a dozen roses for $15. So shout out to Costco for always having the best deals. But my dad was over by the flowers just because he wanted to get my mom flowers. Just because. It wasn't like he fucked up. He was just doing it just because he wanted to. And there was a guy over there, and he was just like, oh, what'd you do? And my dad was like, nothing. I just want to bring home flowers to my wife. But then it begged the question, like, dude, well, why are you fucking over here then? I don't know. I feel like the fact that we have to have specialized days just to showcase some sort of, like, appreciation for your parents or for your spouses, it's just like, you should be showing appreciation for them regardless of the fucking day. But hopefully if you're not just a fucking deadbeat mom, I hope your kids actually went out and did something to show you some appreciation, considering you brought them into this world and you easily could have taken them out at any point. I mean, shout out to Casey Anthony. Remember that whole debacle? Holy shit. Talk about somebody who's not getting a best mom mug. Jeez almighty. I think she buried her kid in her backyard too, which is even worse. It's just like, Jesus. What? You want the kid to still be close to you? Like, go fuck yourself. And then I recently just saw something on TikTok. Now, my facts on this are bad. The only thing I saw was her in court, and the judge was just, like, explaining what was going on. But from what I remember, and I think I saw this, like, maybe a month or two ago, so my memory on this might be a little hazy. But from what I remember, the mom had a kid, and then she shortly started dating somebody else. And her and the new boyfriend decided, let's take a trip together. But they fucking left the kid behind. But the kid was a fucking infant. I don't think he could have been any more than a couple months old, from what I remember. And it's just like, why the fuck would you leave a newborn behind? Like, who the fuck does that? To me, that's no different than people who go out and buy a dog and then they just end up abusing the shit out of it. I mean, it truly never ceases to amaze me how shitty people can be sometimes. I mean, I would love to know if you guys agree with me on this, but I feel like if you're abusing your kid or if you're abusing your pet, I don't think the repercussions should just be jail time. I feel like it should be an eye for an eye type of situation. Like in certain cases, I feel like we should go back to the Hammurabi Code. So if you're beating your dog or beating your kid for, let's say, 2 years, then for 2 years, you should be locked up in a room yourself and be beaten. Or if you were starving your kid or starving your pet for 2 years, then you should be fucking starved for 2 years. Because that's really the only way you're going to truly know what that person or what that animal went through. But anyways, happy Mother's Day. That went dark for a second, but let's get back on track here. I actually celebrated Mother's Day a day early because my sister was coming down from Mass and she ended up having to leave this morning so that way she wouldn't have to deal with traffic and shit. But we took Mom out to celebrate with a nice dinner. My sisters and their significant others were there, so I was pretty much just fucking seventh wheeling at that point. But it's always a nice time to have the whole fam around. But I actually have a question, given all this like stuff of like men transitioning to women and women transitioning to men and all that stuff, where moms can be dads and dads can be moms. At what point do we just make it one day just called Parents' Day? And it's like somewhere in the middle between Father's Day and Mother's Day, like maybe the last week of May or something. Because I think that's what they ended up doing with President's Day. I think George Washington's birthday and Abe Lincoln's birthday used to be celebrated on 2 different days until corporations were just like, we're not going to give them an extra day off. We want them to work. And they just combined it to one day, which is now President's Day, which falls in between the two. Because honestly, seriously, does Caitlyn Jenner celebrate Mother's Day or Father's Day? I can only imagine the shit I'm gonna get for saying that. But seriously, it's a legit question I have. Like, if your dad transitions into a woman, you're telling me that it's not gonna take a little getting used to being like, oh yeah, and this is my dad, Janice. I don't know. The craziest thing I saw was last year. I was listening to the news and there was a couple out there. I wonder if you could Google this. There was a couple out there and they both found out that they were trans. So the wife decided that she wanted to be a man and the husband decided that he wanted to be a woman. So then they both just transitioned and I guess they're going to stay together because they're just reversing each other's roles. I'm sorry. I just don't understand this whole concept. I got to be completely honest here. And I'm not saying you can't do it. I have no problem. Somebody comes up to me, they're trans, like, I don't give a fuck what you are, as long as you're a decent person. Like, that's one thing. I mean, you're still a human being, so we should all still treat you like a human being. But I hate the fact that I can't just say I find it a little bit weird. Like, can we all please admit it's a little weird? And I'm just supposed to pretend that it's normal? Seeing this person with a full-fledged beard and a dress? Like, even as of 15 years ago, that concept used to just be a fucking joke. But now we're just considering it normal? I don't know, guys. I don't know. Do what you want, be who you want to be. But to be completely honest, my real only issue is the fact that people are trying to force it on me that this is a normal thing and it's just not. But what's truly crazy to me is the fact that I don't know if it's just because the science is there now, but when I was on dating apps, the amount of like women that I would be scrolling past and it would actually say trans, thank God you guys actually put it down because it was almost indistinguishable. I mean, it is truly amazing how good some of you guys look. And I'm sorry, I have to say, but I can't seem to bring myself to date somebody that used to be a man that's now a woman. And as a straight guy, I don't want to be fucking a dick. Like, just because it's flipped inside out, it's still the dick parts. Like, you're really gonna sit there and tell me that if you go to a Mexican restaurant and you ordered tacos, but the waiter or waitress brought out a hot dog, you wouldn't send it back? Like, hey, sorry, this isn't what I ordered. And I don't think that that's making me transphobic. It's just preference. Like, it's just sexual preference. Like, I don't want to fuck somebody that used to be a guy. But alright, before I keep putting my foot in my mouth, I really should move off of this topic. But did anybody watch the Tom Brady roast? I actually thought it was fucking fantastic. My only real issue with the Tom Brady roast was I thought it was a little too long. It was scheduled for 2.5 hours, and I'm just like, holy hell, how many people are going to be talking on this thing? And it ended up going for 3, and it's kind of amazing, like, the amount of random people that they had there. I mean, why was Kim Kardashian there? That made no sense to me. Like, what was she doing there? Because OJ, like, there was a combination with OJ with Jeff Ross? I don't know. I didn't get that part. Or maybe was it the fact that Kim and Tom had like rumors that they were dating, but we all know Kim's not gonna go after Tom because he's white. So I don't know what the issue is with that. But it was amazing. Right when she comes out, she just gets booed. And it's like, holy hell, people really cannot stand you. But I also think it's because everybody was expecting athletes to show up, and here she was, fucking Miss Hollywood, coming out of nowhere with the only ties of an athlete is OJ. But it's not like she's going to answer the one question that we all want to know is if he did it or not. But for the non-comedians, like Edelman, Gronk, Bledsoe, all the players truly surprised me because they came out swinging. And I mean, it's all over social media, but Edelman was actually going out to comedy clubs and practicing. And I thought I saw something where they were talking about Bledsoe actually watching previous roasts and watching it like it was almost like game film. Like these guys really prepared. I think the weakest player was actually Moss because all he did was go up there and bitch about how he didn't have a ring. And it was really funny because Nikki Glazer was on right before him. And I think she called him Randy No Rings Moss. So it's like, all right, like you're just putting salt into your own wound there. Like, it was supposed to be a roast about Tom Brady. It wasn't supposed to be a roast about yourself on not having any rings because you didn't want to cheat or nobody wanted you to cheat. Like, that was just kind of stupid. Gronk truly surprised me, though, because, like he said, he's just a big, dumb idiot. But if he actually wrote the jokes like he said he did, they hit. I mean, they were good. But I gotta say, I think the person who came out swinging the hardest was definitely Nikki Glazer. I think everybody and their mother is talking about this all over social. But she was absolutely fantastic. I mean, every single one of her jokes. And it's crazy because I've seen her do three other shows now. I've seen her do Kimmel, Rich Eisen, and Stern. And she had different jokes that didn't make it in each single one of her jokes. I've never heard a repeat. So she had so much that she was going to cook with. But I think what she came out with was perfect. And the joke about Gronk, where it was like, me, no, that not real money, that is probably going to go down as like a top, like cultural line from any sort of show. I mean, that one line had such an impact for some reason. It was just so fucking good. But I think what truly made it was once Tony Hinchcliffe came up. I mean, all of them I thought were fantastic. But when Tony Hinchcliffe came up, it really kind of cemented this idea of like, oh, 2024 called who this? Like, everybody's forgot what era we are in. I mean, the amount of gay jokes alone was enough to get anybody canceled on that show. But holy shit, I thought the best line of the night actually came from Tony Hinchcliffe when he was making a joke at that woman. I'd never heard of her before, like the roast. I think her name was Sam J, the black lesbian comedian. He goes, what did he say? Something like, Sam doesn't just eat pussy, she all hell knows it. I was like, oh my God. Oh man, I thought that was actually a better line than Nikki Glazer's, to be completely honest. But hey, who am I to judge? It's not like I could get up there and say any of this shit. They are just so quick and so good. I mean, holy crap, it truly was amazing. And like everybody else, I have some comments on the whole Robert Kraft thing. Like, why was Robert Kraft in the massage parlor off limits? Like, why would we not be able to joke about that? That is so joke worthy, but why did Brady not want that allowed? Even though it seemed like jokes about his marriage, jokes about his kids, all of that stuff was on the table, just like Robert Kraft was at the massage parlor. But I don't understand why that wasn't like up for grabs either, unless you're Robert Kraft's dick apparently. Since they couldn't joke about it on the roast, I figure I'm gonna joke about it here, because why the fuck not? Nobody listens to this thing anyways. But the thing that I thought was hysterical, honestly, was the fact that I guess a few days later it came out that Giselle wasn't too happy about the jokes that mentioned her and that they hit below the belt. But like, I don't know, maybe if you didn't suck the belt off that jiu-jitsu master, you wouldn't have been roasted. I mean, play stupid games, you win stupid prizes, right? And I don't know, I thought the jokes were still more geared at Tom than they were at her. Because from what I remember, Tom was still the target. They were just making fun of the fact that one, he got cheated on, and two, he was just seemingly oblivious to it. So, I mean, cry me a river. For years, you bitched that you wanted Tom to stop playing, but honestly, look at the dude's stats. Besides 2019 and 2022, the dude continued to play at the top of his game while you were sucking the top off your side piece. So I kind of understand why Tom had a hard time giving up his cleats, just because he was still playing at an elite level even at the tail end of his career. I mean, how many guys in the NFL say that they want to play until the wheels fall off? And what's the average NFL career? Like 4 years? So you're telling me that after however long that you dated Tom, and for how long you were married, you didn't have a sense of like the type of personality that Tom had? And then you got mad at him for having that type of personality? Like, I don't know, I feel like she was kind of making it more about herself, and I'm just like, yo, like, shove it up your butt chin. Plus, I actually thought it was kind of a genius move on his part, because he had other people talking shit for him, and Tom never made a joke at her. And if he did, I just don't remember it. So it's not like he went after her, which to me I thought was actually a class act. Because it would have been very easy for him to do that. But I guess they had a no disparaging remarks rule when they were talking about one another after the divorce. And Tom, I thought, did a good job of abiding by that, considering he didn't, like, say anything about her. So I don't know, the fact that she got mad at him for jokes that other people made, I think is kind of ridiculous, considering she was the one who cheated. Like, if Tom was the one who cheated, I could only imagine what they would say, considering her supermodel status. Like when Arnold fucked his housemaid when he was with Maria Shriver. Like, bro, what are you thinking? And I think Jim Norton and Bill Burr talk about this in some of their comedy specials, so I'm not going to go into it myself. But the same kind of idea would have applied. So maybe if you didn't do something degrading, you wouldn't have been degraded yourself. But that's just my 2 cents here. Well, all in all, I'm really glad that they did the roast because I'm glad that we're starting to do roasts again because I feel like society has just become way too sensitive with a lot of stupid shit. And the fact that we're able to make fun of stuff and just have fun in general, it seems to be coming back as I think, a good thing. I just wish that Bill Burr was on it because Bill Burr, being the massive Pats fan that he is, I would have loved to hear what he would have had to say, especially about the whole Deflategate stuff, considering how he's come out and defended it and all that stuff. And especially hearing how Tom was just like, yeah, you know what? I actually did deflate the footballs. So, but instead, no, they had fucking Ben Affleck get up there and just do a fucking rant about nothing. And then the Dana White thing was just totally like out of pocket. Like that was just so random. I think that was just Dana White's claim to fame just to show how like fucking anti-woke he could possibly be. Because that stupid joke about, oh, my name's Dana, is that trans enough for you? Like, give me a break, buddy. Like, nobody cares. Nobody gives a fuck about you. Like, you literally showed up there with prostitutes. And you also came with 2 fighters as your fucking bodyguards. Like, nobody's gonna do anything to fight you. Like, nobody cares about you that much. Like, give me a break. Talk about a dude who's just a total fucking egomaniac. But who would you guys actually want to see as the next sports guy to be roasted? People were saying Michael Jordan, if he could do it, he absolutely couldn't. You can go on social media and see the reasons why, but I saw one clip where it was like, that guy used to literally get into fights with people during practice. So there is no fucking way in hell that Jordan would be able to take a joke. Plus, if you watch The Last Dance, it was pretty much like, oh, he looked at me the wrong way and I took that personally. So now you're telling me that people are literally going to be able to get paid to make fun of him? There's no fucking way Jordan would be able to tolerate that shit. I think weirdly, I think A-Rod might be able to do it because the whole Madonna thing with him, you could joke about. I think A-Rod also is trying to portray himself in a different light and not taking himself as seriously. So I think A-Rod would be able to do it. I definitely think Barkley would be able to do it. He's got that fun type of personality where he doesn't take himself too seriously. I mean, if you ever watch the Inside the NBA guys with Barkley, Shaq, Ernie Johnson, and who's the other guy? Kenny Smith. If you watch them, Barkley pretty much gets roasted on a weekly basis doing that anyway. So I think he would be a good sport about it. I think Shaq would also be able to do it. I think Shaq's got the personality for it. It was funny because we were talking about this on Mother's Day at dinner, and my dad actually mentioned that given the fact that the whole Hack-a-Shaq rule, which I mentioned I think a few weeks ago on this pod, if it wasn't for the fact that Shaq was pretty much a teddy bear, there was no way any of that shit would be able to fly because you had guys like smacking the shit out of him and you had to actually hit him to make it look like a foul because he's just so big. And if he didn't have the type of temperament that he had, that definitely could have gone like bad real quick. So I think Shaq, given that, I think he'll be able to do it. But the thing about Barkley, because Barkley is so funny just in general, that I think when he gets up to roast everybody else, once everybody's done, I think his last statement would be fucking hysterical. Oh, sorry. And if you haven't noticed, I haven't been able to get a new chair. And you know what? Fuck it. I don't think I'm going to. I'm just going to ride out this fucking squeaky chair. Because you know what? I'm accustomed to it. I like the chair. It's comfortable as hell. My ass has done a pretty good job of breaking this thing in. But you know what? I think it's pretty fitting to have a shitty chair for a shitty podcast. So this is just going to be my version of Biden's battle with the teleprompter. Pause. Remember when he did that? Oh my God. That fucking guy. I didn't think I was ever going to get that political on this thing, but I saw something that was just way too funny to not share with you guys if you haven't seen it. So I was scrolling through TikTok one day and I saw this clip of The View that came up with Jen Psaki. And if you don't know who Jen Psaki is, from what I remember, I think she was Biden's old press secretary or something. But she gets on The View and she pretty much just goes, is Joe Biden perfect? No, he's not perfect. Has he gotten everything done? No. But he's got to convince people that he's going to be the one fighting for them. And has it worked? No. And they had a guy on there, I have no idea who the guy was, and he just reiterated that and was like, I don't think you were supposed to say that. There was this long, awkward pause. And it's like, the man can't even get out a coherent sentence. You think he's going to get his agenda done perfectly? And then I saw another clip, and I don't know if it was a congressman or something, and he was like, I didn't know how much Joe Biden had on his plate. And I'm like, he's the fucking president of the United States. And there's 2 wars going on. You don't think he's busy? He's the leader of the most powerful country on earth. But the only thing on no-brain Biden's mind is space. Because when he's asked a question, he has that same dumbfounded look on his face that I have when a girl goes, "So what are we?" And I'm like, oh, I'm sorry. I wasn't prepared for a follow-up question. So it's like the 3 things that he's trying to do, he hasn't done. If I walked into a job and they asked me what my accomplishments were, and I said, do I show up on time? No. Do I get along with my coworkers? No. Do I complete the projects I'm assigned? No. But trust me, I'm the right fit for the job. That employer would walk me out so fucking fast. But let me preface this by saying I don't want that fucking herpy Donald Trump in office either. Mike, did you really just call Trump a herpy? Yes. Yes, I did. Because he kind of popped up in the political scene out of nowhere. He's hard to look at, and he's been a fucking pain in our dicks for the past 8 years. But what I will say is at least that guy doesn't support terrorist groups. Like, when we went into Afghanistan 23 years ago, did any of you even give a shred of a thought about the people that we might have been killing? You never watched American Sniper? Our guys were over there killing kids and shit too, but where were all of you screaming, rights for Al-Qaeda? Like, as an American, I thought one of our slogans used to be, we don't deal with terrorists, but now we got a bunch of mental midgets running around advocating for these animals, and I don't call them people for a reason, because a person wouldn't do the shit that they're doing. Fucking using people as human shields as protection against gunfire and kidnapping people to make a point. I mean, I could be wrong about this. Somebody's going to have to write in and let me know. But I'm pretty sure Hamas or whoever it is actually is holding American hostages. But you know what? Like, while I'm on my soapbox here, this whole thing of like Trump is Hitler is such bullshit. Because last I checked, Hitler was out there using the Jewish race to make human pizzas. And the guys these crazy leftists are supporting are also out there just murdering Jews. At least Trump is on the side of, hey, maybe we don't kill Jews? Which is the most anti-Hitler thing. But Biden and his supporters just seemingly let this shit happen. He's kind of treating it like my philosophy on life, like it is what it is. So do with that information what you will. I mean, all of you chanted from the river to the sea, Palestine must be free. I hope you fucking find that river and drown in it. Like, what are you guys all butthurt? Because some terrorists are getting killed? Oh, well, there are innocent lives being lost. If you don't think innocent lives are being lost on Israel's side as well, you can call yourself Judas Priest, because you got another thing coming. Oh, did you just somehow make a reference to a 70s and 80s metal band? Yes. Yes, I did. But it's like, out of everybody in American politics, these 2 buffoons are our only fucking choices? I would literally rather have anybody else. My left nut could probably do a better job at running the country than these guys. But honestly, like, I would prefer somebody who's young, because I'm sick and tired of waking up every morning also hoping that our president did too. But you know what I really want? I just want somebody who isn't going to be incredibly controversial and can somehow bring us back towards the center. Like, in political compromises, there's no such thing as clear winners and losers. Like, everybody should be unhappy in a compromise because neither side will get everything that they want. Like, honestly, it's actually kind of funny to me how the older generation just constantly bitches with how each younger generation, they just become more and more entitled and just want everything, but our old-ass politicians are just as bad. I think I mentioned this before, but even if I did, I'll say it again. Democrats and Republicans are a relationship, and one side can't just be a taker, and they can't just also be a giver. Like, it's a push and pull balancing act, and you gotta learn to adhere to each other's wants and needs. But right now, each side only wants what they want, and it's becoming more and more toxic by the day. Like, I just want a guy who can come in, figure out an actual resolution to these wars, balance the fucking budget instead of constantly taking out a new credit card to extend the debt, and fix the border crisis, along with whatever else it is that we're all bitching about in a fucking bipartisan way. But, alright guys, that does it for the pod this week. If you like what you heard, share this with a friend, write up a review, give me that 5-star rating, and if you want to write in and reach out, you know where to find me at lnbemedia@gmail.com. Alright guys, thanks for listening, and I'll catch up with you next week. Have a good one.